Welcome Seekers to episode 3 of your Tarot 101, Learning the Tarot for Beginners and also professionals in advance. So today we are going to be talking about the suit of wands, a very dynamic kind of suit. Now, we first started with episode 1 with the major arcanas, then we moved on to episode 2 with the suit of swords. Now, the suit of wands is a very interesting one, right? The minor arcana talks about the lesser mysteries, and it often relates to the everyday world in which we act, to our daily concerns and duties, and to how other people affect our lives as the sacred manifests in the mundane world. However, they can still present images of spiritual concerns and experiences, and they generally do not depict the big life experiences like the major arcana do. And so the suit of wands is the element of fire. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start, and we're going to go one by one. We're going to discover each card from the Ace of Wands all the way to the King of Wands. I will provide you with as much information about each card as possible. If you want to fast forward to an actual card, to a particular card, I will include the timestamps below so that you can do that if you so please. But I recommend that you watch the entirety of the video so that you can get a true understanding of every single card. Now, we are going to be using a very special tarot deck. This tarot deck is the Tarot Apocalypsis from Eric C. Dunn and Kim Huggins. I've linked to the deck below. It is a very special deck. It's the deck that I use to learn tarot with. Now, a very interesting aspect of this deck is that every suit depicts a different ancient civilization. So for the suit of wands, what we have is ancient Egypt. All right, so that's going to be a very interesting twist that this deck has. All right, so let's go ahead and get started and go one by one. The Ace of Wands. Although ancient Egypt had several creation myths, most of them agree that in the beginning there was chaotic, dark water, and that the world began when the sun rose for the first time over this ocean. This was called the first occasion. Out of darkness rose light. The sun and the force that caused it to rise would remain important symbols throughout the ancient Egyptian world for millennia. The Ace of Wands is the tarot equivalent of the sun rising on the first day. It is the force of vital spark and generative power that kickstarts all processes of creation. It is thereafter necessary for the perpetuation of existence. It is energy in all its forms and is even more necessary than breath or food. For there to be a need for those things, the necessity for that which sparks the creation and perpetuation of life at its most basic must be fulfilled. Elementally, the Ace of Wands is associated with fire. Therefore, it is the highest, but also the most abstract of the elements. It is closest to spirit, yet the most fundamental force for us all. On an abstract level, the Ace of Wands is the energetic forces in our lives, power, a sense of self, personality, and ego. On a more mundane level, it is all the forces that we engage with that allow us to move forward and create. Drive, ambition, desire, will, power, inspiration, yearning, and passion. The Ace of Wands, on a spiritual level, is also paired with the Ace of Cups. The former is the divine phallus, penetrating into the divine womb. The Ace of Cups, this is will entering the soul, a divine union that births form and success. It is this force that the Princess of Wands wields. If you are to draw this card upright, the meaning is the initial spark of creation or desire, energy in all its forms, power, vitality, and creativity, a primal urge, yearning or desire, ambition in its earliest but most powerful stages, the beginnings of a creative project, ambition and drive, the setting of goals, will, and the direction of will towards a goal, divine inspiration, creating now rather than in the future, the self, ego, or personality, a fiery force, energy that is forceful but difficult to direct. Now, if you were to draw this card reversed, then the interpretation is uncontrollable, destructive energy, ambition that is stunted or directed negatively, weak power or drive, lack of passion, passion that burns others, creative projects blocked or delayed, and a weak sense of self. Let's move on to the next card. Two of Wands. All the twos share a kind of duality, highlighting the difference between one thing and another thing, or the next thing. In the case of the Two of Wands, we see the movement from focus and initial spark of the Ace of Wands to an extension of that idea and drive. Since the Suit of Wands is associated with fire and therefore with a dynamic process of creation, we can imagine that in the Ace we have conceived an idea and the passion with which to fuel it, and it has been busy powering up and fueling itself, the need and drive growing greater and more difficult to contain, until it finally bursts out in one focused beam of energy. Now, we have a goal, something to aim for. The initial point of focus has become a line from point A to point B. A plan has been formed for reaching the finishing line. Being in the Suit of Wands puts this extension in the realm of ambition, passion, goals, and drive. This is the movement forwards, the direction of the will into a focused and driven goal. If you're to draw this card upright, it means entrepreneurship, new business plans and projects, startup plans moving forward, the logical extension to the next step, taking a risk with a goal in mind, goal setting, affirmation, being driven forwards, taking opportunities, creating opportunities for one's self and others, expanding horizons. Outcome is unknown, but the path is certain. Having the world at one's fingertips, plans for the future, expansion, extension. Now, if you are to draw this card reversed, then the interpretation is opportunities missed, time rushing by before a chance is taken, new business plans or projects stifled in the early stages, lack of direction, lack of drive, fear of new horizons, preferring comfort over adventure, lack of a plan, and poor organization. Let's move on to the next card. Three of Wands. In the Ace of Wands, we saw Ra at the beginning of the world, the creation of the universe. The midnight just before the sun rose for the first time over the nascent form of the earth. From this, the Two of Wands came, extending from the point of origin and expanding its horizons. Ideas sparked, creativity was generated, and movement following a desire to explore. Endeavors were begun as Kefrar, the aspect of Ra at the rising run, arose in the morning. Now, Ra rules at his pinnacle as the midday sun, shining his all-encompassing majesty over the Three of Wands, in which endeavors pay off, projects are completed, experience is gained, and dominions expanded. If you are to draw this card upright in a reading, it means success and achievement that has still further to go, reaching a pinnacle that will lead to further ideas and creativity, success sparking inspiration, projects that were started long ago coming to fruition, one's ships coming in, experience influencing a situation or providing a useful resource, the height of one's creative power, teamwork with others to create something, inspiration applied and the results it can offer, business and projects seeing great success. Now, if you are to draw this card reversed, then that means arrogance, not knowing one's boundaries, not trusting experience, immaturity, disrespect for others in a team, poor team working skills, creative block, reaching a goal but not knowing where to go next. Let's move on to the next card. Four of Wands. Since the initial burst of energetic creation in the Ace of Wands, this fiery suit has been growing increasingly powerful. The nascent spark of an idea and urge was expanded in the two, its horizons and potential tested, and plans for its growth made. With the three, this direction bore fruit and experience was gained. Now, in the four, power, will, and creative urge are given manifestation. Since the fours of the tarot are associated with the manifest world around us, the four corners of the earth, the four winds, the four directions, the four elements, and are part of the Emperor's domain. Each of them represents varying ways in which their suit is made firm, stable, and manifest. For the suit of Wands, earth interacts as fuel and a firm foundation on which to burn. Power is consolidated, mastery certain. As it is a card of manifestation, it brings with it celebration and thanksgiving, particularly on a community level. Now is the time to enjoy the fruits of one's labors. If you are to draw this card upright, it means completion of the initial stages of a project, firm foundations for a creative project or goal, stability and certainty in one's spiritual or magical life, certainty of life calling, energies grounded and manifested, consolidation of power, celebration of completion, thanksgiving, gratitude, harvesting the first fruits of one's labor. Now, if you are to draw this card reversed, it means projects stuck and unable to move forward, creativity being oppressed, the completion of the first stages of something still yet to be reached, lacking a firm foundation for one's goals, ambitions, and desires, a lack of gratitude. Let's move on to the next card. Five of Wands. After the creative process that unfolded from the Ace to the Four of Wands, we are given a stark reminder that completion is not the end. Stability is not guaranteed. And contentment is the enemy of innovation. As with all the fives of the minor arcana, destruction and challenge reappear to throw things off balance. For some of the suits, this has a constructive purpose, but for others it leads to pain. Here, in the Five of Wands, we see 5 young men undertaking the dangerous hippopotamus hunt. The male hippo spreads his jaws wide in aggression, and the men drive their spears into its mouth. One man, wounded on his left thigh and arm, stabilizes himself with the end of his spear. Another demonstrates his physical prowess by flexing his muscles. In this card, we find the renewed fight against destruction and the welcoming of it as an opportunity to test one's mettle, demonstrate one's power, and keep oneself on top of form. Now, if you are to draw this card upright, it means challenge, a return to instability after a period of peace, destruction leading to creativity and innovation, a demonstration of skill, a test, ritual or symbolic battle, a conceptual or figurative fight, putting oneself in dangerous or uncertain situations, a rekindling of passion or purpose due to having something to fight for or against. It's uncertainty and instability, destructive forces, chaotic forces. Now, if you are to draw this card reversed, it means being unwilling to take on a challenge, becoming lazy instead of taking action, inability to grow or change due to fear, not having the energy to fight, contentment as the enemy of innovation, empty contests, and sportsmanship and showmanship. Let's move on to the next card. 6 of Wands. The 6 of Wands is a card of true greatness, success, and an almost divine authority. Those represented by the card lead a charmed life, and everything they will come to pass. This card is a force to be reckoned with, a victory and acclamation from others. In short, it is the state of being that most people in the Western world strive for. However, it can also be a card of very brief victory, of the leader who comes out on top following great struggle, only to be deposed later in another struggle. It is also a card of strong ego and deeply rooted sense of self, as well as a certainty of a truth. The way in which this certainty is acted upon dictates whether the card may be as positive as it seems, or whether it also carries a burden. Now, if you are to draw this card upright, then the meaning is success, victory, triumph, acclamation from others, awards being given, promotion both in career and one's agenda, a charmed life, accomplishment and great achievement, victory after a struggle, rising above, being in charge of one's own life, being looked up to or looking up to another, a hero worship, something to be proud of, certainty of success. Now, if you are to draw this card reversed, then it means the ego overruling logic, being too self-centered, controlling others with one's power, stepping on the toes of others to achieve success, too much pride, Pride comes before a fall. Certainty of one's own truth, leading to it being imposed on others. Resting on one's laurels. Let's move on to the next card. Following the victory of the Six of Wands, we come to the Seven to be reminded that revolution will always come. It is not many steps for a glorious leader to become an oppressor, and in the Seven, somebody takes a stand against oppression and fights for liberty. The person taking on this role is usually an underdog, somebody at a disadvantage and fighting against almost impossible odds. That which they fight against is ingrained and systemic, deeply wounding and controlling. There are many others who are unable to fight for themselves, looking to the figure of the Seven of Wands to fight on their behalf. In this way, the Seven of Wands represents a freedom fighter, a rebel for a good cause, a campaigner, a protester, and somebody fighting because there is no other choice. Those who are given no way out of a fight often fight the hardest. If you are to draw this Seven of Wands upright, then it means standing up for oneself, fighting against overwhelming odds, valor and courage in the face of adversity, standing up for others, being a voice for those who have none, fighting against injustice, sticking to one's principles, a freedom fighter, rebellion for a worthy cause, having nothing to lose and everything to gain, demonstrating one's strength and will against the majority. If you are to draw this card reversed, then it means an unwillingness to stand up for oneself, expecting others to fight, accepting injustice and oppression, being overcome by one's own weaknesses and cowardice. Let's move on to the next card. Eight of Wands. The Eight of Wands is an explosive unity of the elements of fire and air, as air feeds fire, giving it the oxygen it needs to sustain itself and grow. So the mental focus and agility of air symbolically feeds and increases the passion, ambition, will, and intent of the suit of Wands. This fiery suit has been a roller coaster ride so far, beginning with the first spark and growing into a great desire, becoming manifest and finding its way to conflict, discovering greatness and the need to protect it. And now the energy that was bogged down and struggling to sustain itself reaches a crescendo and can burst forth with all its might. Perhaps it is the struggle of the Seven of Wands being released that causes the Eight of Wands to fly so fast and free. If you are to draw the Eight of Wands upright in a reading, it means ideas of greatness, ambition, high hopes and expectations, a great drive and passion for a single thing, a single-minded focus, all of one's energy put into a single goal or direction, impetus, momentum, events carrying one forward in unexpected ways, the force of will and desire driving one onwards. This is trailblazing and uncharted territory. This is speed of action, a quick bursts of energy, an explosive push towards one's goal, a straight path to one's goal. Now, if you are to draw this card reversed, then what we have here is burnout through a large amount of activity over a short period of time. Being unable to stop. Being caught up by the momentum of external events. Too much energy with too little focus. Great expectations without a firm foundation. A desire to be noticed by others. Let's move on to the next card. 9 of Wands. As we near the end of the suit of Wands, we find that our energy is depleted, sent off in all directions, used up along the way. Now we have a fight continuing before us, a challenge yet to be faced, a challenge and completion that has not been achieved. So, wounded and weary, we urge ourselves onward once more. However, unlike the 10 of Wands, in which we carry heavy burdens that oppress us, this final push towards the finishing line is no burden. It is an opportunity for greatness, and the price we must pay if we are to reach our goals. Here in the 9 of Wands, we find the fine line between exerting all our force and conserving our energy. It presents the necessity to wait for the opportune moment in which to strike. To some, it might look like our waiting is weakness. Yet it is in this time that we conserve our energy, build up our strength, and ready ourselves to fight on. This unity of stillness and action is symbolic of the cyclical nature of power represented by this card. While many of the cards in the suit of Wands see power as a thing to be grasped that can be forever held, the 9 of Wands shows us that power waxes and wanes like the moon. Instead of trying to hold on to it, we should respond to its flux. In this way, we will not fight impossible battles, and our energy will be conserved for the right moment. Now, if you are to draw this card upright in a reading, it means perseverance, a time of apparent defeat during which one can consolidate one's energy, waiting for the opportune moment, stillness and patience in battle. Being wounded, yet fighting on. A lull between conflicts. The ebb and flow of power. Power easily won and lost. A show of force to disguise one's weakness. Now, if you are to draw this card reversed in a reading, it means striking at the wrong moment, not conserving one's energy, accepting defeat, feeling unable to continue in a struggle, feeling overwhelmed, weakness, losing power. Let's move on to the next card. 10 of Wands. The suit of Wands has become more arduous the nearer it comes to completion and fullness. Like the suit of Swords, we do not experience the culmination of this suit in the same blissful fulfillment as we do the suit of Cups and Pentacles. This is because for the fiery, energetic suit of Wands, the multiplicity of the 10 being the furthest away from the focus and the oneness of the Ace is a danger. Energy, passion, and ambition thrive with focus and single-minded direction, but falter and become weak when spread over several areas. The 10 of Wands, therefore, shows us the final push towards completion rather than the completion itself. There is more work still to do, yet we are exhausted. Our energy stretched so thin, depleted, our will now unfocused and distracted, wandering around and away from our purpose. At this stage, when every part of our being is crying out to give up and stop, shrinking away from the pain of pushing on, we would welcome the sweet relief of not having to continue. Here, we are in danger of abandoning all our hard work thus far because we believe we cannot carry on. This card also represents the burdens we carry, both voluntary and involuntary, all our duties and the things that we believe rest on our continued performance and effort. If you are to draw this card upright in a reading, it means burdens, duties, and responsibilities, the final push towards completion, one's magnum opus or great work, a long-desired ambition almost attained, hard work and effort, the need to apply oneself and devote oneself to a task, a great challenge. Now, if you are to draw this card reversed in a reading, we have exhaustion, a martyr complex, doing too much at once, being unable to finish something due to lack of energy or will, being exploited by others, an uphill struggle. Let's move on to the next card. The Princess of Wands. We have now made it to the court cards. And the Prince of Wands as Earth of Fire. The Princess of Wands is the fuel for fire, the creative aspect of fire, and the containment of fire. She is a dynamic and powerful force, for the element of earth rules over manifestation. Here is will and energy becoming reality, power grounded in action and passion fueled. This princess adds more wood to the fire, and her containing and limiting nature, for earth binds us in one place, makes it even hotter, just as the fire in a furnace is hotter because it is contained. Her energy never ceases. She is self-fueling and therefore achieves anything she desires. Since fire is the element closest to spirit and earth the element furthest away, the Princess of Wands represents the link between potential and manifestation, between heaven and earth. The Princess of Wands, the Egyptian goddess Isis in the Tarot Apocalypse, is the process of creating through an act of will or a direction of energy. She is the dynamism required to create and the ability to focus one's energy and will so that it can burn more brightly towards a single goal. Further, she brings to life all that may have been slowly decaying or becoming stagnant. Now, if you were to draw this card upright in a reading, it means dynamism and energy, a reinvigoration of self or projects, transmutation from inertia to a state of action, breathing new life into something, encouragement, containing and directing one's energy, manifesting one's goals and ambitions, the power of the will, direction of one's passions, fueling oneself, grounding one's passions and desires in reality, consumption, a passionate and mischievous person, intensity, being playful, boundless energy, turning one's creative tendencies into reality. Now, if you are to draw this card reversed, it means a spoiled person, somebody who will cause trouble if they don't get their own way, somebody who will burn others without meaning to, danger through mischief, not knowing when to stop, being unable to contain a situation, something getting out of hand, something out of one's control. Let's move on to the next card. The Prince of Wands. The active, fast-moving elements of air and fire unite in the Prince of Wands to form a volatile, audacious, and adventurous character. As the airy part of fire, he is a seeker of challenge, excitement, and ways to prove himself. He is a less mature form of the powerful and charismatic King of Wands, with those qualities presenting themselves in a more chaotic form. His airy nature gives the Prince of Wands difficulty in committing to the concerns of his suit, as the suit of Wands is fiery, associated with ambition, success, power, sense of self, and energy. Its prince is drawn to power and has great ambitions, but lacks the staying power to stick with anything long enough to achieve greatness. He is charismatic only in as much as he says he is. He is powerful in short bursts. His energy burns out so quickly that it is unsustainable. This makes him a useful resource in getting a short, focused job done. He is the burst of energy needed for the final push towards completion. Yet, he cannot be relied upon often, commonly bringing chaos in his wake. At his worst, he can be violent, fanning the flames of conflict. He is easily bored, yet boredom is the surest trigger for his bad behavior. Now, if you are to draw this card upright in a reading, it means an attempt at dominance, being usurped or needing to usurp somebody's position, grasping at power, causing confusion and chaos, short bursts of energy, fierceness, immense and focused strength for the short periods of time, the final push, turbulence, seeking a sense of self, seeking to prove oneself to others, rising to a challenge, an easily angered person, swift rage. Now, if you are to draw this card reversed, then it means a mean-spirited confusion. It's kicking dust in your rival's face. It's a braggart, sterility, drying up of creativity, a burnout, aggression, and acting out. Let's move on to the next card. The Queen of Wands. Like her sister queens, the Queen of Wands has an undeniable beauty that draws people in. The watery nature of her rank bestows upon this queen a nurturing quality, the ability to channel and carry, and the tendency to take onto herself all the things of her suit. Residing in the Court of Wands, she is the queen of passion, the mistress of energy, the lady of ego, charm, and charisma. She moves in the world of desire, where the ability to affect the energy and yearning of others is paramount. Her mutable watery nature applied to this fiery energy and passion gives her the ability to nurture desire, channeling and carrying her passion and that of others, feeding the energy of people, projects, and groups. Yet, she takes just as much as she gives, for she loves nothing more than attention. She is most alive when others are praising her and looking at her. Her leadership is like her husband's, strong, inspiring, and energetic. But where the King of Wands leads through action and loud talk, the Queen of Wands leads through gentle direction, coercion, premise, and promise of reward and inspiration. If you are to draw this card upright, it means nurturing of passion and desires, channeling energy and desire in the right direction, carrying the drive of others, inspiring action in others, nurturing the sexual self, immersing oneself in one's passions, experiencing the fullness of life, a social butterfly, a host, welcome, charm, enchantment, the center of attention, commanding the attention and love of others, being admired for one's natural talent, allowing oneself to have fun, social gatherings, encouraging the pleasure and enjoyment of others. Now, if you are to draw this card reversed, then it means somebody with a destructive and wide-reaching temper, a spoiled brat, somebody demanding attention that does not deserve it, a drama queen, a social manipulator, magic used for destructive purposes, seduction as a means to an end. Let's move on to the next card. The King of Wands. In his exalted position as the highest ruler of the suit of fire, the King of Wands is the pinnacle of energy, action, passion, drive, ambition, and will, as fire is the element closest to spirit and furthest away from manifestation. This king is also the furthest away, furthest removed from material concerns, and the most energetic and powerful. As the sovereign of will and power, he can attain anything he desires through correct direction of his will and ambition. To some, this may seem like magic, but to him, it is a foregone conclusion. Results are assured when you direct your will and energy single-mindedly and with force and passion. Blazing into life and vitality, the King of Wands is the light that cannot be extinguished, a source of infinite energy, courageous inspirer of others, and an imperishable soul bringing light to every path he walks. If you are to draw this card upright in a reading, it means a leader, a figure of authority, a role model, a charismatic leader, a host, a facilitator, owning one's power, willpower, the ability to direct one's will and energy towards a goal, the pinnacle of one's ambition, rising above, ascension, shining one's ability and light to others, showing one's strengths, exceeding expectations, inspiring others to greatness, controlling a situation, creating change in accordance with one's will, vitality, unstoppable force, unceasing activity, grasping opportunities. Now, if you were to draw this card reversed, then it means a boast, a charlatan, somebody who manipulates others using charisma, using one's position of power for the wrong ends, a controlling boss, a weak will, a burning out through too much activity, failure to get one's own way, being at the mercy of another, being a victim of social manipulation. Alrighty, Seeker, so that brings us to the very end of this episode. I hope that you enjoyed the journey through the suit of Wands, a very dynamic, powerful suit, one of my favorites. illustrated so beautifully by this beautiful deck, the Tarot Apocalypsis. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. Definitely I'm looking forward to answering some of those questions. Also, if you have any suggestions, I am working on bringing you a more, I would say, detailed interpretation of each card. So if you seekers have any ideas, or if you want to see something different, let me know. Give me some ideas and I will bring those to you. So thank you so much for watching. I hope everyone is happy with this episode. Love you guys. Bye-bye.